Oh, it always brings me to tears when I see the room filling up and all of these beautiful faces filling my screen. Once again, welcome everyone to our full moon global healing meditation. This is Cynthia Jewers, for those of you who don't know me. I've been doing this practice for 30 years, every full moon. It's been such an amazing practice, especially now. And on this month's call, we're going to focus on directing our prayers, our intentions, and the powerful medicine of this global healing earth treasure vase mandala that has been created all around the world with little holy vessels filled with prayers of healing for the earth. We're going to direct that now towards prayers of peace, prayers of de-escalation, I can't talk, de-escalation and diplomacy between Russia and the Ukraine. This mandala that we have created is a powerful tool. It's a powerful energy, and it's time we harness it in this direction. And there's also so much power when we practice meditation together and we generate our good intentions for others and the earth. We sometimes call our intentions prayers. But if prayers is somehow uncomfortable for you, think of it as a wish or a dream or an intention. It's the same thing. And in this meditation, we also cultivate our hope for peace on earth. We do that every full moon. Full moon is a time that's very powerful every month to do this kind of activity. We've been doing this ever since I received the practice from Charak Rinpoche, the 106-year-old Lama living in a cave in Nepal, who I met in 1990 when I asked him, what can we do to bring healing and protection to the earth? And he gave me this practice. Today's a pretty special full moon, actually, because for Tibetan Buddhists, it's called Chotrul Duchen. It's the Festival of Miracles, which is celebrated in the period between Losar and the Tibetan New Year, or which is the Tibetan New Year, and the full moon on the 15th day of the new lunar calendar, which is right now. It's when Shakyamuni Buddha demonstrated his miraculous powers in subduing those who lacked faith and inspired more faith in his followers when he did that. So it's one of the 4 greatest holy days in the Tibetan Buddhist calendar. And on this full moon, it is believed that the effects of both positive and negative actions are multiplied 10 million times. So let's make it a positive action, shall we? Yeah. Can't help but be, given our intentions. So there's many, many events unfolding in the world that are challenging to our collective peace and well-being. The newest one being this devastating situation in Ukraine. And we really need some miracles now. Miracles are not so completely unusual, really. They happen when we align with our, when we align with the forces of the universe, when we align with the forces of nature. Things become more effortless and more synchronous. And things happen when we enter into ceremony that we couldn't have predicted if we just go about our regular ways. So here we are doing just that, creating the causes and conditions for miracles. One of the miracles in my own life is my friend Cynthia Lazaroff. She is doing such heroic work to bring peace on earth. I have known her since the early 1980s, when we were both active in what we called Track 2 citizen diplomacy efforts and traveled to the Soviet Union together. At my invitation, Cynthia has been stewarding a treasure vase for Russia for several years and building relations, which she is doing anyway, between Russians and Americans on both sides of the Bering Strait, where the vase is dedicated to being planted. She has dedicated her life to Russian-American relations and ending the threat of nuclear war. She's the founder of Women Transforming Our Nuclear Legacy and nuclearwakeupcall.earth. Cynthia Lazaroff is an award-winning documentary filmmaker and the author of Dawn of a New Armageddon, a personal account of the Hawaii missile scare amidst escalating nuclear dangers, published in the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists. She's convened the Russian-American Women's Dialogue and Peacebuilding Initiative. And the week before the Russian invasion of Ukraine, they published a call for peace that was shared all around the world. And now the initiative has been published as another open letter that we're invited to sign and share widely for a ceasefire to the end of the threat of nuclear war. Cynthia might put that link into the chat if you'd like to sign it. We're so honored that you are stewarding a vase for the Bering Strait in Russia and that we finally get to bring you forward, but I'm sorry it's under these conditions. You are serving on the board of the American Committee for U.S.-Russia Accord, and your dedication to catalyzing efforts in U.S.-Russia relations to reduce the nuclear risk and working with people in Russia and in all countries to move towards a world without nuclear weapons is to be truly celebrated. And I hope that tonight we can consider that to be a celebration. Talking to Cynthia in recent days, she's made it abundantly clear that we have never been so close to the possibility of nuclear war as we are today. And so, Cynthia, my sister, I'm so honored to invite you to share your insights and your reflections on the crisis in Ukraine. And I thank you so, so much for being with us tonight on this full moon dedicated to the miraculous.
Well, Cynthia, I'm sharing your emotion, and I will probably be emotional in this circle and in this call. I am doubly honored by being here with you and all. When you asked me to steward the Earth Treasure Vase, it was 3 years ago this summer. We could have never imagined that would be here. And even though things were challenging and difficult, we could have never imagined that. And I have to say that same when the Berlin Wall came down and after the Cold War ended and all of the countries of Eastern Europe became independent, and it seemed like we were finally at peace, that the impossible had happened. We never would have imagined that we would find ourselves in the situation that we're in today. It was unimaginable, completely unimaginable. So I'm just deeply grateful. It feels like this is exactly where I'm supposed to be right now with you and everyone here, that there's no other place but right here and now. And so that feels really like a gift. Mm-hmm. And you know, for whatever reason, as you and I have talked about, Cynthia, I've never been in a full moon meditation with the Global Healing Mandala, and you're with the Bering Strait treasure vase. And there were various times where I kind of wondered, well, when is that going to happen? Or, when is the right moment? And when you called a couple of weeks ago, it was just, oh, this is the moment.
Yeah.
This is it. So this is the moment to open this vase with all of you, and that it's such a sacred day.
Mhm.
Um, and that the intentions for miracles, which is what we need, are amplified, is brings me great hope. And that's a theme for me today, as you'll hear. I mean, it's just a theme, holding the faith and the hope.
Mhm.
So I also just want to say where my heart is, and I know that probably everyone on the call I'm not alone, that my heart has been breaking since the invasion. I just, every day it's been breaking. And living in a time where we can actually watch the war unfold in real time on Twitter, which is what I'm on, following journalists and experts, etc. It's just, it's a 24/7 real time experience with the people. And so my heart is breaking. And my heart is with the people of Ukraine, who I just want to bring into the circle as we start, and all the people who are suffering and traumatized by the war. But I want to specifically name those who were wounded, those who are dying, those who are mourning the loss of loved ones, the mothers and children that are been hiding in bomb shelters, sheltering for days, the millions who are fleeing or have fled and who are displaced, often leaving with nothing or almost nothing. My heart is with all of those people, and I want to bring them into this circle because we can hold all of them. My heart is also with the Russian people in Belarus, and Russia who have been courageously dissenting and quietly dissenting, people who are risking their lives for speaking the word war or the word invasion, which they've been forbidden from saying without risking arrest and 15 years in prison and perhaps beatings and torture, etc. I also want to bring into this circle one of the hardest things I've heard about, which was a group of mothers, mothers of Russian soldiers who came out in the early days of the war, who did not know where their sons were. Their sons were told they were going on a military training exercise. Their sons didn't know where they were going, and the mothers and families didn't know where they were going. And we have been told that the soldiers have had their cell phones taken away. So the mothers don't know where they are, and they all came together courageously and wrote an open letter begging for their sons to come home and for the war to end. So I want to bring them into this circle, and just to realize that there's so many people who are suffering beyond those that we see on our mainstream media. There are just so many people. And so I want to just hold, it's really an honor to hold all of those people who are suffering here with all of you, because I don't think it's being done in this way. And so hence we're together again. It's meant to be in this moment for a reason. I also just want to talk a moment about the significance of this beloved Bering Strait vase. And, to remind everyone that the Bering Strait is a place where Russia and the United States are neighbors. It's a place where the border between our two countries is less than 3 miles apart. It's the place where on either side of the strait live indigenous peoples who are members of the same tribe, who used to travel back and forth in boats to see each other, and sometimes still try to do that. And it's also a place where now, because of the melting ice, that has opened up and is a place filled with enormous potential for cooperation and enormous potential for conflict. And we've seen both directions playing out in the last few years in the Bering Strait. So it's a place where, by bringing together the vision of bringing together and working with indigenous peoples on both sides of the strait, where we can come together and hold something larger than all of ourselves for peace. And we can reunite families, and we can put something out to the world that really changes the story and recovers a lost story and reconnects us with a story that was artificially broken when the artificial border went in there. So I want to bring those people into the circle with us now too, who many of whom are not on the call, I don't think, but I know they're here in spirit. And just to set the intention for this vase, which before this war broke out, there was an announcement that the Russian government had decided to open up the Bering Strait this summer, as they are the heads of the Arctic Council, which is a intergovernmental organization that meets to look at cooperation in the Arctic around issues like climate change and other things. And that they actually were going to open it up for indigenous peoples to come together. And I was kind of stunned, because it was something that we had proposed to the foreign ministry of Russia a few years ago, and they had said, you know, we don't know if that's possible, but we think it might be difficult to get the border to open up. I don't know if that's going to happen now this summer, but the Bering Strait, I think, is a place where that's kind of like an acupuncture point to release the pressure in relations for all the reasons that I mentioned. So I want to hold that vision right now with all of you, that's what this is going to do when it's eventually finds its way there. And hopefully that will be in 2023 now. But I just want to hold that intention to, as we open tonight, is that this can hold that possibility for a miracle in releasing the tensions that must be dissolved, for there to be peace.
Yeah.
So with that, I'll stop with my opening comments and just
Thank you so much. It's really wonderful to hear you and feel you and be with you with all that you're holding. And now all of us can hold all of that with you, so you're not holding it all on your own. Okay, so I really want to invite everyone listening to just open wide and take it all in, because we are as big as each other, and together we're strong. We can do this. We can bring it, take it where it needs to go. So, I think, given the educated nature of your experience in this realm, Cynthia, it would be really helpful just briefly to hear from you what you're most concerned about, and the, kind of your assessment of the risk of escalation, even inadvertently, which I think is, we probably all are aware, is right there. But just if you could speak to that just for a moment. We don't need to spend the whole time on that, believe me, but yeah, because you carry this knowledge. So what do you see?
Okay, well, first, that what I want to say is that there are two things I'm most concerned about, and I want to start with the people again. I'm most concerned that as we're into now almost the end of the third week of killing, bloodshed, and immense suffering, that my concern is that we need to all come together as one, as you've just mentioned, Cynthia, and hold the vision for a ceasefire.
Mhm.
That vision, my concern is that we're not as one in the world calling for a ceasefire. I want to see that because we need to stop the killing.
Yeah.
We need to stop the bloodshed.
Yeah.
For me, that's just every day that goes on, more people die, obviously, but also the thing that I'm most concerned about as well is the risk of escalation, which you've mentioned and you and I have spoken about. And I fear that every day that the war goes on, in addition to the risk of more people dying and suffering, and that clearly will happen, is that there's a risk of further escalation.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I want to just talk a little bit about that risk. I could spend a long time talking about it and go into a lot of detail, but I just want to start by saying that, again, holding with all of you the gravity of the moment we're in, but also the possibility being together of what we can hold a vision for something different, as we've talked about. So I think what I'd like to do is in this circle, just witness where we are kind of from, I'll talk about it a little later, from the balcony, kind of if you look at this conflict, if you go to the balcony as a mediator and you look at what is happening and just kind of hold that for a second. We're in a moment of extremely high tensions between the US and Russia, but other countries as well now. In many ways, in my view, more dangerous than the Cuban Missile Crisis. And that's for a whole host of reasons that are very different from what it was during the Cuban Missile Crisis. We have many new destabilizing weapon systems. We've got the risks of cyber attacks. We've got uncertainty around Russia's and NATO's red lines. What are the lines that, if they're crossed, would lead to a further escalation? These are just things that are not entirely clear. It was kind of mostly black and white during the Cuban Missile Crisis in terms of we knew that we didn't want the missiles in Cuba, and the Cubans didn't want the Americans to invade, and it was simpler. It wasn't that simple, but there were things happening behind the scenes. But compared to where we are now, it was simpler. There weren't as many what I would call moving parts in this situation. We also, I just want to say, we've had, Putin, as you all know, twice mentioning the risk, the threat of using nuclear weapons and putting his nuclear deterrent forces on high alert. Again, just holding this together. And then we had a statement from Russia's Foreign Minister Lavrov, and this was kind of another signal, another indication. He said that a third world war, should it break out, would be nuclear and devastating. So that was the Russians' way, again, however you interpret it, are they bluffing? Are they, whatever? It is a signal that that their view, if it does escalate to include NATO, which is World War III, if it escalates beyond the parties to the conflict right now of Ukraine and Russia, and some other countries involved in other ways, but in terms of direct engagement in a conflict, that it's World War III. Mm-hmm. And so he's basically said it would be nuclear. Mm-hmm. So I just want to say it's not alarmist to say that we could be closer to a nuclear war than at any time in our lifetime, those of us who came of age during the Cold War, and that it would be a civilization ending event, the end of everything we know and love and cherish on this earth, that's what it would mean. There are so many pathways of escalation in this conflict. I was on a call yesterday on a Zoom event with another panelist who is a missile defense expert. And he said to me, as we were preparing for the talk, he said, I think maybe there are an infinite number of pathways. I don't know if it's infinite, but there's so many different variations on what could go wrong here. And I mentioned there were so many moving parts. We've got state and non-state actors in this conflict, which is also different. We've got, for example, people who are not acting directly on the part of the state, calling for world cyber attacks against Russia and inviting independent hackers who are not state actors to hack into, Russia's satellite systems that exist for both military and non-military purposes. And, if that were to happen, the assessment in the expert community is that the Russians in this fog of war would not stop to try to figure out, because it's very hard to determine the origin of a hack like this, whether it's a government or non-government actor. And although the probability would be low that they could be successful, it's not zero. And they would go to it being a state actor, and that could escalate the conflict. That's one of many examples. We've got the risks going on at the nuclear power plants. I just want to bring them into this circle. Two of them are being held by Russian forces. We've had some very strange things happen. We have people working under stress there for weeks now, not getting their shift breaks. We've had
Cynthia,
stop.
I'm just going to stop you there and invite us all to take a breath.
Okay.
And another breath, because the information that you're sharing is incredibly intense.
Okay.
And so let's just come back to each other and to this circle and to the present moment. Having heard enough, I think.
Okay.
We get the idea, and we all know.
Yeah.
We all know that these things are happening, even if we don't know the details. And it's important that we know, but it's important that we take in the information in a way that we can stay present with it and not go under. So keep breathing. It helps us to put this information into the right place, and not get carried away by our fear. I'm thinking, as you're talking, about Thich Nhat Hanh, who is my great teacher and who has been so much alive for me since his passing recently, and his many, many, many teachings that have come forward about no death, no fear, and how he would say in relationship to conflict, this is because that is. And so we are all in this together. And I'm just wondering if you have anything to offer us, given the seriousness of the situation. And thank you for giving us a glimpse of what that is, of a constructive way that we can hold this conflict.
Yeah, well, I think that, thank you for bringing me back and out of that pathway, reminding me. And thank you for everyone for listening and being present with all of it for this moment. I want to go back to something I mentioned earlier, which is I think that in any conflict, I like to go to the model that the mediator William Ury has put forth, which is that in any conflict, there are often two sides, and each side has its own story, its own history of grievances, its own legitimate concerns, etc. And that there's also in a conflict the third side.
Mhm.
And the third side is us.
Mhm.
It's the community. It's the larger community that can impact a conflict by holding the space for a resolution and by witnessing the conflict and by going to the balcony, as I talked about earlier, and putting ourselves in the shoes of all the parties to the conflict
Mhm.
and holding and listening to their stories, their experiences, their grievances. And it's through that capacity to actually witness things from the balcony and listen to all sides that the most enduring peace agreements are possible.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I would like us to be third sider, invite us all to be third siders in
Mhm.
this conflict. And so for me, that means really stepping into the shoes of everyone, as I said. And um, Cynthia asked me about the roots of the conflict. We were talking about it on the phone last week, and I think that what isn't in the mainstream media is the Russian side of this conflict. Their grievances, their concerns. There is a history. I don't want to spend a lot of time going into it, but you know, I think that for this conflict to be resolved, everyone is going to need to come out feeling like they haven't lost. Everyone is going to need to come out feeling like their security is ensured, that the peace will be real and enduring, that they have what they need to make sure that that's going to be the case. There's going to be a lot of, someone just texted me that there are 108 people on the call, a very auspicious number. So I noticed that too. So I just wanted to share that. It distracted me for a second, but I'll just bring it into the circle. That's a beautiful thing. So I just want to invite us all to be third siders. And I would encourage you all to maybe look at William Urey's work on his website, williamurey.com, and where he talks about the third side, or watches TED Talks to see the role that the third side can play in this conflict. But one of the things that I think we as third siders, especially third siders doing this sacred work, this sacred activism work, is we have to hold the vision for peace. We have to hold the vision for a ceasefire.
Mhm.
We have to see it if it's going to happen.
Mhm.
And that's what my Kumu, my Indigenous elder teacher, talks about, is that we have to go to the place where it's already done.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I think, Cynthia, this might be the moment to bring that in, because
Mhm.
it's organic, is that Cynthia and I talked about this, is that, the teaching is, to me, has been to me, go to the beach a couple of 100 years from now, where your grandchildren, your great, 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 great grandchildren are thanking you for abolishing nuclear weapons, for creating a world that's filled with clean air and clean water, and soil that's been restored, and a resilient climate, and where everything that we envision and dream of
Yeah.
is there, that we hold that in the face of the darkness, in this most challenging, darkest moment of, this most, well, in terms of nuclear risk, etc. Yeah, I feel like it's that we hold the light, and that we affirm what's possible. And for those of us who lived through the Cold War, I grew up hearing that the Berlin Wall was, from the earliest years, in my church, in my school, and evening news, the Soviet Union was always going to be the enemy. The Berlin Wall was never going to come down in our lifetime, and we're almost likely going to die in a nuclear war. And we lived to see the world change. We lived to see the impossible become possible. And I think of Nelson Mandela. I've thought of him over and over again. It always seems impossible until it's done. His quote, "It always seems impossible until it's done." That's what we as third siders, taking a transcendent view, can hold for this conflict, with our prayers, with our intentions, with our ceremony. So there's a lot more to say about things, but I think maybe that's enough. I don't know, Cynthia, if there's something more specific in that list that we talked about, I can share more, but that's what's in my heart.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. And um, I know you have a lot of suggestions for what you see in terms of how to turn the situation around and what the steps would be. And I feel like to open that door would be to kind of go back down a path that's more political and detailed, that is maybe not what's needed in this moment. Although I think that people would be interested in knowing what that is. So maybe we can share that in the mandala after the call, just to, you know, plant a few more seeds of what we're hoping for. Um, but and what we're holding, in as third, what did you call them? Third parties,
Third siders.
third siders. What we're holding.
We're all third siders. Yeah, we're all
Yeah,
third
yeah,
siders. Yeah.
yeah. So and again, as a third sider, it's not about taking sides. And Thich Nhat Hanh is a great model of that. He never took sides during the war. He tried to negotiate peace, and both sides thought he was part of the other, and he was exiled. So he's a model for something here, and to try to make sense of the situation, it requires going to a place that's much bigger than just our little selves. So that's what a meditation like this can do. Um, I think is to strengthen our capacity um, to see the big picture, and without losing sight of feeling and embodying all those details, but to growing into our best under the circumstances and not succumbing to fear. I know also that you have some sources of information and places where people can go to follow information accurately and send aid and videos to watch. And I'd love to also post those in the mandala. Um, so if you would send that to me, I'd be happy to do that for you and for all of us, because you're a wealth, and we really do want to underline what a wealth you are and what experience you have had over such a long time in this these relations. Yeah. So I guess for now, just to say that I'd love to invite you to just pick up that vase that you have and open it up, which we often do after the meditation, but maybe it would be good for it to be open for the meditation, and to invite you to hold it and show it to us. And these are like living beings, and this vase was really needed right now. So we want to um, pour our hearts into it tonight, and everyone will have the opportunity to direct our prayers for peace into this little treasure vase for Russia that Cynthia is holding. And we'll do that after the guided meditation. So please, please accept our appreciation, Cynthia, for all you're doing and how much you're holding. And what a stand that you're taking for peace and for understanding. I hope that this little treasure vase, this little living being, um, can be a vessel of peace for Russia and for the Ukraine and for the whole world as and a source of energy for you as a living treasure vessel to carry on and stay connected. So let's take another breath now, all of us, as I take a sip of water. Holding all of that in our hearts without grasping, without pushing away, just witnessing and holding in our love and attention. As we move now towards the meditation tonight. And to do that, I wanted to introduce two of our beloved Earth Treasure Vase Stewardship Council members, Therese Hogan and Stephen Comey, who are here to help us lead this slightly modified guided meditation tonight. Stephen is a linguist and a translator and a editor, among other things, who lives in Japan and has stewarded the Earth Treasure Vase for Fukushima. And Therese lives in New Zealand and is currently stewarding a vase for the sacred lands of Aotearoa. Therese participated in all of the treasure vase pilgrimages that we did in Australia, and introduced us to the Jawan elder, Auntie Margaret Catherine, in the Northern Territory of Australia, who we love so much, and who changed and brought meaning to this whole practice in beautiful and important ways. So thank you both. And we're also really fortunate to have with us tonight Julian Silburn, who is a sound healer from Perth, who also traveled on all of the treasure vase pilgrimages in Australia and is stewarding a vase for southwestern Australia. He is often here to offer his healing sounds of the didgeridoo, and will do so tonight towards the end of the meditation. So again, as we go into the meditation on this day, when we have a little extra help by way of miracles and blessings, let's know that we are consciously creating the causes and conditions for unexpected miracles to arise, and experience being peace right here, right now, ourselves, and focus our concentration on imagining just what Cynthia was suggesting, imagining the world we want to see and the abiding peace that is needed, such that everyone can claim a victory in this conflict in somehow, some way, and that the escalation of this war can stop. Thank you so much, Cynthia Lazaroff, and everyone. And so now I'd like to invite you, Therese and Stephen, to take it from here.
Thank you, Cynthia and
Thank you,
Cynthia. So we'll go into the meditation. I invite you to turn off your video for the meditations, just so that you can really sink in to yourself, into the space. And we'll begin. I'll ring the bell 3 times, and as the bell is ringing and as you're turning off your videos, inviting you to already begin to sink in to this circle, sink into your body, sink into your breath. Coming into here and now. perfection of wisdom, mother of Buddhas, bodhisattvas, and all beings, nourishing, holding, and healing all. Great Mother Earth, precious jewel of the cosmos, to you we bow in gratitude. We take refuge in the earth as our teacher, the one who shows us the way in this life. We take refuge in the earth as an expression of the Dharma, the teachings of interbeing, understanding, and love. We take refuge in the earth as an embodiment of the Sangha, the vast interdependent community of life, in balance and harmony. Living within the web of life on earth, we dedicate ourselves to embodying awakened awareness on the path of healing in service to all beings. We dedicate our lives to realizing our oneness with Gaia. And so let us begin with finding a comfortable position and drawing a few deep breaths in and breathing out. And allowing your breath to gradually slow down and deepen, to feel your body relax, releasing the tensions, breathing in and out until you feel stable, calm, and connected to your deepest center. Sense the ground beneath you now, feeling your roots reaching down deep in the earth, feeling yourself secure in the nourishing energies of the earth. And from this place of being deeply rooted in the earth below you, open to the light from above, from the sun and the moon, the full moon and the stars, connecting you with the vast creative energies of the cosmos.
Now, let's each acknowledge the ancestors of the original indigenous peoples of the lands we inhabit, inviting them to bless us and to bless this practice. Bring your full attention to the present moment and form the intention to do this practice for the benefit of all beings. Call upon all of your teachers and guides, ancestors, elders, lineage masters, the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and wisdom beings that you feel connected to, and invite them to be present with you here and now. Ask them to bless you and to bless everyone who is present for this meditation, and receive the blessing of their love, support, guidance, healing, and clarity. And as this blessing enters you, feel this love and caring entering your deepest heart of hearts. Breathe it in and breathe it out. And as you breathe it out, send this love to everyone who is present in this circle. And again, breathing in, receive the love that is being sent. Breathing in and out, sending love and receiving love.
Now call into your awareness the presence of the entire global community of Earth Treasure Vases, those that have been planted or are in the process of being planted. And recall how these little holy vessels are filled with all of our deepest prayers and intentions. And imagine that together we're pouring our love into each and every vase in the form of light. Filling each vase with the healing power of our love and caring and our deepest prayers and intentions. Imagine this healing love flowing between the vases, filling the whole global Earth Treasure Vase mandala with the powerful energies of love and caring. And see this energy traveling through the song lines and meridians around the whole earth, And imagine this love flowing into each location on the global mandala, offering the gift of our love and healing to all of the people, animals, plants, and places that are connected with each node on the mandala, and each new node as the mandala expands. Now see and feel this global healing mandala coming to life as a whole.
Beginning at the center of the Earth Treasure Vase Global Healing Mandala in a cave above Los Alamos National Laboratory in New Mexico, the birthplace of the atomic bomb. And to the north, at the source of the Rio Grande River in Creede, Colorado. To the south, at the mouth of the Rio Grande at the Gulf of Mexico. To the east, on top of Mount Baldy above Santa Fe. And to the west, on Mount Chicama, known as Scamu to the Tewa people of New Mexico, the custodians of the sacred lands where this mandala began. And now, having established the center and the 4 directions, see the mandala growing in every direction, to the Indian Point Nuclear Reservation on the Hudson River in New York, to the Headwaters old-growth redwood forest in Northern California, the Punta Cometa on the coast of Oaxaca, Mexico, Vilcabamba, Ecuador, Jakova, Kosovo, the Lawrence Laboratory at the University of California, Berkeley, the Taodum Forest on the border of Thailand and Burma, the village of Ein Karem in Israel, Palestine, Hiroshima, Japan, the cloisters in New York City after 9/11, the Biosphere 2 in Oracle, Arizona, the Martin Luther King Freedom Center in Oakland, California, the source of the Ganges in India, the source of the Amazon in Peru, the Southern Pacific Ocean, 93 degrees down Egum Atoll, the Trobriand Islands, Papua New Guinea, the Arctic Circle, Alaska, the Kogi lands of the Sierra Nevada of Santa Maria, Colombia, Telewayan Village, Lofa County, Vonjama District, Liberia, West Africa, the Blyde River Canyon, Limpopo Province, South Africa, the Giza Plateau, Egypt, Haleakala, Maui, Hawaii, the Itobiwe Forest, South Kivu Province, Democratic Republic of Congo, Avebury, England, Bindaluk, Jawoyn County, Northern Territory, Australia.
And to the second generation of Earth Treasure Vases in Gabarnmung, Arnhem Land, Australia, Mackenzie King Park, Ottawa Gatineau, Canada, Findhorn in Scotland, the Great Stupa of Budnath in Kathmandu, Nepal, the Flint Hills of Kansas, the Santa Cruz Mountains near Silicon Valley in California, the Valles Caldera of northern New Mexico, Honolulu in the Kimberleys of Australia, Utqiagvik in Arctic Alaska, the Hanford Nuclear Reservation in the state of Washington, Fukushima, Japan, back to where it all began at the cave hermitage of Charok, Nepal, to Margibi County, Liberia, Dithigal Mountain in the Walbunja country of Yuin Nation, Southeast Australia, to our root temple in Tolugompa, Nepal, the Munza Valley in Turkey, to Serpent Mound in Ohio, and to Antarctica. And let's also include the 12 vases still awaiting their destination and the Earth Treasure vases being stewarded currently, especially today activating the Bering Strait in Russia, Southwestern Australia, New Zealand, Delphi in Greece, the Amazon forest in Brazil, Korea, Arhuaco territory of Colombia, the vase dedicated to healing racism in the USA, Washington, DC, Italy, and to British Columbia. And to the third generation of Earth Treasure vases, now in the hands of the stewards who recently crafted them.
Imagine the light of our love also flowing into your own location, your special spot in nature, blessing you and all of nature in your region, your own node on the mandala. Now, once again, take a deep, slow in-breath and a deep, slow out-breath. And sense this current of love flowing powerfully between all of these locations as a flow of deep connection to each other's sacred places, to the entire global Earth Treasure Vase mandala, and to the whole Earth and all of life. Sense this love and healing flowing out into the world, going wherever it is most needed, bringing loving support in whatever form it is needed.
And I invite you now to concentrate on sending your strongest prayers for peace to Ukraine. Imagine the entire Earth Treasure Vase mandala turning towards this part of the world and towards the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. And let us also send our prayers to the vase that Cynthia Lazaroff is stewarding to Russia. And see and feel the vases in the mandala, brilliantly lit with rainbow light, streaming from all the many directions of the global mandala, inviting and empowering all the Earth Treasure vases to come alive with a powerful prayer of peace. And feel the collective spiritual intelligence of the entire global Earth Treasure Vase mandala flowing towards Ukraine to bring peace to the land, peace among people, and wisdom to the leaders of Russia, Ukraine, and all beings involved in the conflict or living in the region of war. Now please imagine a brilliant, divine white light radiating from all the vases. Imagine this light forming a band of light extending north to south and encircling the whole Earth. Then another band of light encircling the entire Earth from west to east, and from northwest to southeast encircling the whole Earth, and from northeast to southwest encircling the whole Earth.
Please feel and sense these bands of light connecting to all the regions where the Earth Treasure Vases are located. And imagine these bands of light are magnetically drawing in all the deepest heart healing prayers from all of the Earth Treasure Vase locations for the whole Earth and for all beings. Imagine each vase having its own field of energy, containing the geometries of our collective field of loving intent, and be present now to this living field of pure divine vibration created by a collective of sacred vibrations and frequencies of pure loving kindness. And imagine that all these frequencies are weaving themselves into the most optimal state of resonance. Now feel the energy that is radiating out from the Earth Treasure Vases, connecting to and magnetizing all of the sacred vibrations and frequencies of pure, unconditional love and caring for the whole earth. And imagine the entire global treasure vase prayer field flowing toward the region of Ukraine, carrying our collective prayers for peace and the prayers for peace of everyone around the planet who are also holding this prayer.
And now imagine a flower of life mandala forming above Ukraine and Russia, as wide as the entire region, and radiate the healing medicine and peaceful energies of the entire global Earth treasure vase mandala into this flower of life, which then lifts up into space. The geometry is bending to form one huge flower of life sphere, which grows in size until the whole region is within this sphere that stretches down into the earth, connecting with all the earth treasure vases planted in the earth. We imagine this loving field of energy interacting and informing the field of energy within Russia and Ukraine, and imagine an ocean of love carrying the experience of peace, filled with unconditional loving kindness and the wisdom of understanding wherever it needs to go. As this flower of life sphere embraces the region, notice small flowers budding forth of the same geometry, and these small orbs contain the same energy as the one large orb and are assigned to individuals who are in positions of power. We ask for these orbs to find the higher energy of whoever can support positive change in the world, and pray that these individuals have the strength and bravery to follow their divine guidance in ways that support collective healing and harmony in their lives, in their workplaces, and in the world. And see them awakening to the peace that is their true condition, and transforming the patterns of war into the path of peace. We ask that each individual be supported and protected by this pure field of loving kindness and healing, and that this divine invitation may play a special role in service to all that is, for peace in Ukraine and for peace in the world.
Please imagine that everything is in divine order and that the work is already done. Now, please join your hearts with mine as I recite a supplication to Taragaya for peace. O Taragaya, Earth Mother, Mother of the universe, born the embodiment of divine compassion, you who are swift to aid us in your gracious mercy, just by calling your name, just by reciting your mantra, hordes of negative forces are pacified through your sacred power. O Lady who is undefeatable, whose power is supreme, you who are composed of the radiant, beautiful light of the thoroughly perfect full moon of suchness, pacify all adverse conditions, protect us from attack from both humans and provocations, and put an end to all war. In your infinite loving kindness, please protect us forever. Be our holy refuge, vigilantly warding off all harm. Pacify on the spot all armed conflicts. Disarm all atomic weapons. Turn them into flowers. Protect us from all suffering, all pain, all fear, and all evil. And by your holy power, make long the life of the righteous. In the name of the divine, we ask that peace is granted in Ukraine and in the world. Om Gaya Mandala Siddhi Palabrum Ah.
Now, as we draw to a close with the meditation, we extend our thoughts, our feelings of gratitude to the lineage holders of the Earth Treasure Vase practice for all their support and guidance, And we pray for the greatest good to come from this practice. And we give gratitude for our group, here and now, holding space for the healing and protection of all beings around the whole planet at this time. And so drawing another deep breath in, and a deep and slow breath out. We give thanks for this precious and sacred time together. As you begin to bring your awareness now back to your body, back to your feet on the floor, grounded on the earth in your own precious location. One more breath in and out, and in your own time, opening your eyes to return to the group for our discussion and coming back. Okay. So we'll begin the prayers. I'd like to invite Cynthia Lazaroff if you'd like to share your prayer to begin with, being that the vase for Russia is already open and ready to receive all of our prayers. Or whatever's present for you at the moment.
That was so beautiful and so powerful. And the vase, the minute Cynthia asked me to hold it, it activated with heat. I mean, it just feels like it kept responding every time every time that you mentioned the word Ukraine and peace and Russia, I could just feel the vase almost just felt like it was responding. I could feel like a vibration of some kind. I mean, even just in my hand, it was just this feeling of warmth and being alive. And really, I think it's really come alive for me in a way right now. I feel very humbled by everything and very grateful. And my prayer is about capacity. And it's a prayer for capacity for a couple of different things. First, the capacity to be the peace that Cynthia invited us all to be in what she sent out to all of us and what she's talked about in so many times. But today, the capacity for us to, in this moment, be the peace, whatever that is for each of us. And to have the courage to be the peace too, but to be it. And then back to the theme of the capacity to see. The capacity to see and hold Ukraine at peace, to really have that capacity. My prayer is to have that capacity to sustain that. And I want to mention along the lines of what we talked about a little bit before, which is going to the place where it's already done. And Stephen, you mentioned that in the meditation as well. And I want to just acknowledge that when it's really already done, there'll be no nuclear weapons. And so developing the capacity, really holding that vision, in addition to being and holding the vision for peace, the vision for a world without nuclear weapons, because that's the way we're never going to be here again. And inspired by a dream that Jillian shared some time ago with us, where he used his didgeridoo to shine light in a place, and there was a kind of miraculous event that happened there for healing. I every morning see, and with the instruction of my kumu going to the place it's already done, I see the weapons being dissolved. Like I see them being dissolved and going away, and it's just bringing light to them and dissolving them. So it's a prayer to see that. And I want to bring in, someone wrote to me today, who I hadn't heard from in a long time, who's a diver who I worked with on coral reefs. And she said that she's in Europe, that she's been every night, she dreams and she's diving down to a submarine and disarming the nuclear weapons from the submarine. And that she wakes up tired, but this keeps happening. So the people want peace, you know, all over the world. So finally, the capacity for hope. And I want to share something that's truly remarkable. That I got an email last week on this theme of hope. I got an email last week from my mentor, who's going to be 90, I think in about a week or 10 days, in the Russian, who's held the vision for peace since probably before I was born. And she sent me a message that had the last two paragraphs of an obituary in the New York Times last week. It was an obituary for General Maslin, who was a general during the Cold War, who at the end of the Cold War worked with Americans to dismantle the nuclear weapons that were being eliminated. And he worked for over 20 years with Americans to make the world safer from, you know, something happening with nuclear weapons and etc. But he really was very involved. And I'm going to just read you these words. As he watched with dismay as the spirit of friendly cooperation that he helped foster in the 1990s grew chilly in the 2010s, President Vladimir Putin said in 2015 that Russia would no longer accept American nuclear systems, bringing an end to more than 20 years of cooperation. But General Maslin did not give up hope that one day the two countries could come back together, even if it meant waiting for a new generation of leaders. In January, weeks before his death and about a month before Russia invaded Ukraine, he wrote, "If young people on both sides of the Bering Strait are thinking about how we can improve Russian-American relations, all is not lost." He was very close to friends of mine. So it's that hope that he had in the face of the darkness, just the capacity to hold that hope and bringing it with us to the Bering Strait, all of it, when we go. That's my prayer.
Thank you. Thank you. The little vase is being filled up, and thank you for helping us to share that hope and to be able to see that vision with more clarity after today as well. Oh, may it be so.
Maybe so.
Okay, so now we open up the circle for sharing, to hear from all of you, your prayers, your intentions, your visions, your dreams, what's present for you. So feel free to push the button that raises your hand or just to unmute yourself. And Stephen and I will call on you. So let's begin with Sister Rosemary. Welcome.
Thank you. Just following on Cynthia, I have been taking Suzanne Giesman's mediumship classes. And of course, she is, a former commander and actually knows Russian and was very involved, I think, towards peace. But in one of our exercises, we were asked to have someone who was famous come to us from the spirit world. And the person that came to me was a Russian soldier. I didn't know him at all, and I can't remember his name now, but there's a movie made of him called The Man Who Saved the World. I don't know if anyone here knows it, but I would recommend that you just find it on YouTube, is how I found it. But his story was that he was in charge of the nuclear weapons in Russia. And they had one day a false alarm that there was incoming from the United States. And he had the choice to, before it hit there, to retaliate, in advance. And everyone was, saying, you have to do it, you have to do it. And yet he knew in his mind, if he did it, all the world would be destroyed, not only Russia, but not only the United States, but Russia. So in the end, it turned out to be a false alarm. And so that's the reason they made this movie about him. And I'd like to pray that that at this time of war, there will be people like him in all areas of the war that find that strength in their own hearts and listen to it and do not respond with killing, with violence, whatever. And then another thing was that at the beginning of this war, Father James Francis Twyman went to the border of Ukraine and Poland in order to have a prayer service for peace for all those that were coming into Poland. And during that time, he told the story that at the time of the Second World War, and I was born at the end of that war in the 44. I have a twin who's now in the spirit world, and I didn't realize it at the time, but our births are, I was born a few minutes before midnight, and he was born a few minutes after midnight. And so all along, we've been like the atomic clock, progressing. And so at the time of this, he's now in the spirit world and he's coming through. And James Twyman said that in Bethlehem, in Jerusalem, at the time of the Second World War, there was a rabbi who sent word back to England that they should have a minute of silence every night at 9 p.m., at which time everyone would pray for peace, but also that they would ask the spirit world to come in and use their force, all the angels and saints, to bring that peace, to work with us on earth. And so my twin came in just a couple of weeks ago, and he was going like this, putting his finger up at his lips, and so I knew it was silence, but I hadn't heard the story until James Francis Twyman told it, and my twin's name is James Francis.
Oh, wow.
So I share these messages of hope that we are not alone, and that the spirit world is with us, and we have to trust in the goodness of each human person.
Thank you. So Alexa, are you there?
At are present for a full moon call in some time.
It's kind of hard to hear you. Can you speak up a little?
Yes, actually, my computer's on top of a fish tank, so that might be part of it. I haven't been a part of the full moon call in quite some time. I was attending them early last year, and things, life circumstances took me away. Um, and I found my way back for the first time in a while tonight. And it's the full moon in Virgo. I'm a Virgo sun, and my one of my family dogs passed away in my arms last night, and I found myself deep in grief today, and I was a little bit concerned about where the meditation would take me, and I found it to be immensely and profoundly healing. Energetically, I understood a deeper level of connection between my own grief and the collective grief, and really there's no lines of delineation regardless of the source of the grief. It's all rooted in the same, and I felt that very strongly during our meditation today. And I brought out one of my favorite singing bowls. This is the pitch of F, which correlates to the heart center. And for my prayer, my my most preferred way to prayer is just to sing, whatever comes through. So I'd like to just offer a song, some song to the treasure vase.
Thank you for that. That was very beautiful.
Thank you.
I'd like to call on Emelina Cajalas next.
Hello, dear family, dear soul family. I'm originally from Costa Rica, and right now I am in France. So in general, I don't come to the ceremonies, but I listen to them the next day. Right now it's 3:30 in the morning for me. So, since a couple of weeks ago, I had a very strong feeling for this ceremony today. And I started having visions about the ceremony and some of the gifts for today. And this prayer, this little prayer came to me. And I am very glad that we had the music right before. And I would like to each one of us to close our eyes and recover all the energy that we were sending with love. And I will ask in this moment, in which humanity is being called to evolve and grow, to become the best version of what humans can be and share. The sacred earth vases in all the curves of Mother Earth, Gaia, Pachamama, are here summoned today in each of its locations to give support in this evolutionary process. We put all our prayers here today so that each one of these sacred vases can support and nourish the evolution of this planet. I call the ancestral energy of each continent to give humanity the direction that this leap forward in our evolution happens in a smooth way, so that suffering in all beings can be reduced and evolution could be attained. May this be a truth in the near future. Thank you very much.
And so it is, and so it is, and so it is.
So it is.
And so it is.
Yeah, thank you so much, and thanks for joining us in the middle of the night where the full moon is probably shining in your western sky there. Beautiful. And I'd like to call on Susan.
Hi. So I just want to read a little quote from Rumi. I would like to put this idea into the vase. Out beyond the ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. Ideas, language, even the phrase each other doesn't make any sense. I always like that quote, and it just reminds me that let's not talk about which side is right and wrong. Let's just be love and meet in that field. And the other thing is I made this little market bag, and I put it's a quilted thing, and on the back is the Ukrainian flag, and there is the practice of having peace poles on the land, and it says, may peace prevail on earth. And so I put that on the bag. And so into the vase, I would like to put the saying, may peace prevail on earth. And then the other interesting thing is Ukraine, like their national flower is sunflower. And I wanted to look that up to see the meaning behind that. And the sunflower continues to turn and follow the sun. And so many people throughout the world, the sun is so important. And so I put sunshine and sunflowers into the vase. And again, I said, I looked it up. The sunflower is a symbol of good luck, and it always faces the sun. And the sunflower has long been a symbol of peace for Ukraine. In the summer of 1996, sunflowers were planted by officials at the, let's see if I can say it, Pervomaisk missile base in southern Ukraine to mark the removal of nuclear weapons from the country. So
Thank you.
they've long had that. So all these things I put in and just encourage and pray for peace. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. and Michelle Wilcox.
Michelle, you need to unmute.
There we go. I thought I was. Yes, the flower of life, generator, regenerator, felt so alive, feels so alive, and feels so alive, and dynamic, and sort of like this some multi-dimensional kind of toroidal field circulating the love and evolution. And very strongly, I felt the presence of the Black Madonna, who's so important to this region for so many years, and the peoples there also, Czestochowa, but all Russia and Ukraine and that whole area, of course, all over the world. I feel her presence in the vase, almost like a black hole drawing in the love and drawing in the compassion and drawing people's hearts, so that it will be like a magnet. The vase will be magnetic, dynamic and magnetic, like this flower of life, of the light that's in the darkness, all the love that there can be. And then when Alexa said, of course, it mentioned Virgo. Yes, here we are, Virgo, the Virgin, and this is the earthy representation of the goddess who makes practical, the very mystical, Piscean, spiritual, and this is what we're about, and this is what the Madonna is about. So, and it's so precious. I see China Galland here in your book on Longing for Darkness meant so much to me when I first encountered it years ago, to help me appreciate the many faces of the goddess and how she's alive in us and in the world. Thank you.
Thank you,
So
Michelle.
my prayer is resonating with her. Ongoing.
Wonderful. Great. So, Heidi from Yakina Riverland, we'd love to hear from you.
Okay. I wanted to acknowledge the what's come to me actually over the last week is the need for protection at this time while we're waiting for resolution. And one, I would like to acknowledge the very difficult role, Cynthia Lazaroff, that you've been playing. You're living in an area that is gray for the most part. It's hard to see through, and it's very difficult to stay steady there. So having prayers behind you is extremely important. So I want to acknowledge that place that you are holding. Actually, it's a very difficult place. And two, I want to acknowledge what it means to me to be lifted above the differences and the distinctions that we create in our minds that make it difficult to unify. So what I want to recognize right now is the spiritual energy takes wings and lifts. It has the ability to lift up humanity in a way that humanity becomes part of the resolution rather than an obstacle to the resolution. So my prayer is that that we are all able to look into ourselves as a vessel, as a clear vessel, clearing out all of our obstacles that we carry that get in the way of interacting in a sacred manner. Because my feeling is that what has created difficulty is our lack of ability to interact in recognition that life is sacred and everyone carries life a little differently, and yet it's all united. And so I offer this, a friend of mine who's just darling, who is a clay friend of mine. She made these, I'll put this up there. She made these doves, okay? And they have the colors of the flag, and they have they have 3 flowers, and they're the sunflowers on here. And then she has a rainbow that she's put up here. So I would like to offer this symbol into the vase for peace, even though it is for in the Ukrainian, because they're the ones that are under attack right now. It is not just for them, okay? These colors also represent a new type of atmosphere for the planet. That is the blue dome, and where the sun, this is the sun, where it actually lifts up what needs to be lifted and continued for this new birthing forward of a new type of human being that has the capacity to grow. And the other thing about feathers was, I was thinking about feathers, and feathers are a protection, you know, can be a protective, but they are soft. So it's the heart that becomes soft and able to expand. And also that the feathers, they protect while something is growing. So it's a protection that doesn't create harm. And so I want to offer that right now, while things are still unknown and uncertain, that those great beings who we see as little birds are not just little birds. They are great beings. That's the only way they show themselves through the natural world, but that is not what they are. I want to ask of them to really help humanity, lift us up so that we actually have the capacity, while we're growing into this new form that is already present at one level, but it has not presented itself in a visible way to us. So that's my prayer. And again, thank you, Cynthia. I recognize the difficulty of the place where you're holding. And I would just say, please always remember what is behind the breath, which is invisible, but it is life itself.
Thank you, Heidi. May those great beings lend us their wings so that we really can rise up to where we need to be. Thank you. Loran, would you like to offer
And I'll
your
just
prayer now?
mention we have quite a number of people still wanting to share. So if we can keep it brief, maybe keep it to the primary prayer so we can hear from as many voices as possible. Thank you.
Hi, thank you. This has just been wonderful. I was just happened to be in a retreat in Costa Rica, but I live in Wyoming and I'm home now. And I just wanted to share this one thing that I learned was that during the experience of the moment of conception, the sperm and the ovum experience a moment of bliss when they unite and create life. And that becomes the heart chakra. And we all carry that heart chakra from the moment of conception in our hearts. And I just thought that was such a fabulous idea. That's where the bliss of creation and life resides. And my prayer is that every single human being on the planet, leaders, soldiers, everyone, feels and remembers their heart chakra, and that we're living here on this planet co-creating life. And the life that I want to see is the one where the children and the grandchildren and the great-grandchildren are playing in the waves. And Lama Sultramalioni had us out in the water boogie boarding. And so may all the children boogie board. And I have a little stone. It's called a flowering agate that I would like to place in the vase. And may love flower always. Thank you.
Yeah, that's the kind of explosions that we'd like on the earth, the explosions of bliss. Thank you. And Diana Joy?
Hello, blessings. This is the first time I've been on one of these calls. I was able to pray with a vase in New Zealand in 2019 in February. So just tuning into my prayer that I placed in that vase after a beautiful, beautiful film about women and water and flowing. And my prayer is that we just go with the flow. I feel if we were to be able to somehow make peace with the past, we would be able to create peace in the future. What came up for me when Alexa was singing was hope is in our hands, and borrowing a prayer from the Maori Kazis, the Ho'oponopono prayer. Ho'oponopono, Ho'oponopono, Ho'oponopono. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Meg, how about hearing from you?
Thank you, everyone. First, I want to share a vision that I hold and put it into the vase. That's a vision of our descendants where we heal with light and vibration. It's an incredibly peaceful place, and it's a place that I go to often to help myself remember what's possible. And then also 2 pieces of a prayer. One is that each of us can maintain and revisit these threads of connection like Indra's net that we've created today and other days to strengthen our courage. And the other is right when the war started, I was in a meditation and saw 4 cauldrons of love in the 4 directions around Ukraine. And so every day I've been filling these cauldrons of love, and I was thinking about them while we meditated, how wonderful it is to have a tangible thing to put our love into, to put our compassion into. So I want to offer the cauldrons of love to everyone to use to give love to the soldiers, the grandmothers, the children, and everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. And Kimberly?
Yes, thank you. So, Ms. Lazaroff, thank you for shepherding this Earth Treasure Vase. We send you all our blessings for protection. Never ever think you're alone. We're all behind you. And I would just like to put into the vase, in Oklahoma where I live, the daffodils are blooming. So everybody, can you see my daffodil?
Ooh.
It's white, it's pale yellow. So I had a vision where and I liked how you talked about the third sitters.
Third side.
Third side. So I visualized seeing the border where Ukraine and Russia meet, and all the implements of war would just vanish up into the air. Even the uniforms, boots, labels, and in their place, all along that border, was just a river of daffodils blooming. And so into the vase, I put in a handful of good topsoil, a fresh daffodil bulb, and lightly watered with some light, steady rain of love from everybody that's on this phone call and everybody else in the world too, that knows that peace and love is the only way. Thank you, Miss Lazarus. Mute.
Yay. Thank you so much. Marita.
Thank you. I would like to add into the vase a prayer of thanksgiving from my granddaughter, who's 4 months old, granddaughter. So that thinking,
Sorry. Sorry about that.
um, that's okay. Maybe that was a signal for something. But I would like to add to the vase a prayer of thanksgiving that my 4-month-old granddaughter's granddaughter is saying, thanking all of us in this circle tonight, and everyone we come in contact with and influence the peace that will be there then for them.
Thank you, Marita. That was lovely.
Maybe so.
Yeah, maybe so. Maggie and Eva.
Greetings, everybody. 2 prayers, please. One more directed towards you, Cynthia Lazarus. I can see your face. I think I can see your face there. Firstly, to deeply honor you for the enormity of the work that you're doing. But in your speaking this morning, there is something that you have given to me, but I wish it to go into the vase as well. So it is your capacity to hold the depth of the darkness that you're doing, the extent of your vision to the generations to come, your ability to work in the world, the actual activism, the role that you're taking there. There was a level of integration and power and strength in what was there that has patterned into me. So I ask that patterning, it's like a role model, an archetype. I don't think there is a word for it, but there is an energetic form that was present in you that's been received, and I place it into that vase, that it is a way we can all share, but also that allows us to stand side by side with you. We won't be in the level of actual endeavor that you are, but that we can hold this many-leveledness, the depth of the love, the potency, the dark and the light that you're holding in such a synthesized way. So my prayer is that goes into us as individuals and as a collective, and that you and all of the likes of you can feel us in this deep strength and bondedness of our we. That is my first prayer. My second prayer is the notion of nuclear, of atomic, following on from Michelle, who brought in the Black Madonna, the Black Mother. I think this force of nuclear energy in the subterranean belly of the mother in the earth comes these primordial forces. And one of them that's come forth has been atomic energy. At this point, we know it more in this great dysfunctional form of what it can create. But hand in hand with that goes an enormous creative force of life. You can't have one side without the other. So my prayer is in part to the Great Mother, to that Black Madonna, that she further reveals the potencies, the ways, the positivity of atomic nuclear energy, that carries miracles. And that it can show us the ways, the means, the activities that actually can come forth in this great point, this great nexus of change, and that we can each in our own way carry it and bring forth that needs to come forth. There is an enormity that's been spoken of here. I think it's there in your dear friend that's diving into a submarine every night, deep into some other primordial source and bringing something forth. So may this become conscious, may it become alive, may it be an actual creative force that we know so dearly, that serves the dreams of those 7 generations. May it be so.
May it be so, Maggie.
May it be so.
May it be so.
Thank you so much, Maggie.
Deep blessings to you. Do you want to speak, Dana? Ava's fine.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that gives a wonderful segue for me to call on Olivia Fermi to share her thoughts with us and her prayers.
Yeah, Cynthia Lazaroff, it's an honor to meet you in this way. And I wanted to add a prayer into the vase with the spirit of the sunflowers and the doves and the atomic weapons turning into flowers. That that certain ancestors who might be evolving help those on earth that are ready to find a tipping point. So I'm thinking of people like Robert McNamara, who evolved and transformed near the end of his life, and that there are many perpetrators who made that evolution, some that we know their names, some that we don't, either before they died or on the other side in the spirit world, and that those ancestors in particular, I call on them to help us now and to help anyone, any of the leaders, any of the soldiers who are about to turn towards ceasefire.
May it be so. It's beautiful.
So,
yes, may it be so.
May it be so.
So Leslie, would you like to add your voice?
I'm so grateful to be here tonight. And thank you, Cynthia and Cynthia. I've been holding you both in my heart this week as I've been on my own kind of roller coaster of grief and finding the strength to be in the balcony and to be here tonight in the balcony with this whole community is the gratitude that I offer into the vase. I too have been down in the depths. I was in the center of the earth with others, and I believe the Black Madonna was there also. And so the next kind of collective vision prayer that I offer to the vase is that this bearing straight vase is, active today, is part of the whole mandala that is up there at the surface, creating the protective magic. We are part of the mandala, and the mandala vases themselves are creating the protective magic that's dissolving the theme of it's real. We're dissolving the weapons, dissolving the violence to protect each other and the earth through this evolutionary time where the creative forces can be in balance with the destructive forces. May it be so.
May it be so. May it be so. May it be so.
May it be so.
So thank you all for your prayers, and perhaps let's just take one more breath in and out together as we direct all of the unspoken prayers into the vase for Russia as well, including the prayers of those who can't be with us today or those who might tune in for the meditation later. Just really filling up and energizing, vitalizing the vase for the Bering Strait, and Cynthia Lazaroff herself as well. And Cynthia, I wonder if you have any closing comments before we finish out today? Cynthia Lazaroff, that is.
No.
Well, I feel truly uplifted by this and held. Personally, I wasn't really expecting that, but I do feel that deeply, and I'm grateful to all of you for that. And I feel the vase is really been, as I said, it's been awakened in some way here, and it's doing the work, and will be doing it's been doing the work from the beginning, but something really remarkable has happened here today. I mean, something really profound. And so I feel that everything, all the intentions that have been offered will be realized. I just feel, and the beauty of all of the blessings and prayers and the care and the love that is here, is present here, is in this vase, and this vase is connected to all the other ones, and they're all around the conflict right now, and they're bringing healing. So I'm just so honored and grateful and overwhelmed by the power of the people in this group and your love. I'm just I feel you with me, and this will serve in the work ahead. We're all in this together, as Cynthia said, and I really feel that we are. And it's just deep bows of gratitude to everyone on the call, all that you've shared. And I want to just say one thing to whoever told the story about the sunflowers being planted when in 1996, when the weapons were being dismantled. And one of those people was our former Secretary of Defense, William Perry, who has been such an inspiration to me, and probably more than anybody else is the reason that I'm doing this work right now at this point in my life, and that I'm so awake, and he's brought me so much courage. So I just want to honor him for a moment. And I have a photograph of him planting those sunflowers with his Russian counterparts. And so, and I didn't know the sunflower, I should have, was the flower of Ukraine. So with all the sunflowers I've been seeing, I've been so focused on other things, I didn't realize why. So thank you for that. You all taught me a lot today, including that. So thank you. Thank you. And just, be the peace, is just prayers to be the peace, and see it. We're in that place with our grandchildren, great grandchildren, celebrating. We can hold both, as Maggie said, so I love you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And all our love to you as well. And may all of that be with you every breath and every step in these times. Thank you. And so great gratitude to Cynthia Gers as well. Thank you for creating this space where we can come together and share this practice, which is so helpful in these times. Thank you for bringing us together. Yeah. Always. We will always use. Seeing the big long timelines of your work. Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia. We wouldn't be here without you. You brought us all together. Thank you. I love you.
I wasn't going to say anything, but it's so wonderful to be able to sit back in the balcony tonight and be in the circle and just receive and also enjoy and appreciate the beautiful leadership that our circle has demonstrated tonight with you, Therese, and Stephen, and Julian, and you, Cynthia, for your amazing work and commitment to peace. It's a true inspiration. And to everyone who shared such incredibly beautiful and powerful prayers, thank you. And indeed, may it ripple out. May we be the peace. May it continue. Keep it alive. Yeah.
And thank you everyone for sharing your prayers in the comments as well. We'll pop them up on the mandala and keep the prayers going there if there's anything else that you'd like to add. Thank you, Stephen, and thank you, Julian, for your medicine music.
Thank you for the beautiful music.
Remember to put up the links to the places where you said we could read more information about what you're doing, what's going on out there.
I will. I will.
Okay. Thank you. All blessings to you.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye,
you.
everybody.
Bless you.
Bobo. Aloha.
Aloha.
Before we come to a complete end, I'd like to offer a little prayer of dedication.
Bye.
Of the merit. So just be with me for 2 seconds. So by the merit accrued by this practice, may all beings live in peace and harmony. May there be no more war or conflict, and may this earth become a paradise of harmony among all beings. Alalaho.
Oh, perfect.
Thank you for that prayer. That was a great prayer. May there be peace.
So thank you all for joining us on this meditation. And may the ripples go out, and peace is. Let's live it.
Every step.
Be the vase.